Okay, hello everyone. We are live again in the middle of the summer holidays. This time I am very pleased to be joined by Alisha Koumphol, who's from Ryerson University in Canada, who's going to be talking to us all about Ryerson, about studying in Canada, about how it's different to the other university systems that you might be aware of, and a little bit about something a bit different, which is IC3, and also about herself, hopefully. So Alisha, thank you so much for joining us.
Great. Hello, everyone. Hello, Jason. Thank you so much for having me today. It is morning on this side, but wherever you are joining in the world, thank you for having me. My name is Alisha, and I am one of the international recruitment officers within Ryerson University, located in Toronto, Canada. Part of what I do is create awareness to students and really promote the university to really enhance study abroad and the various opportunities that are available to them, and hopefully ensuring their success throughout their university experience here.
Brilliant, thank you. You've answered all the questions that I was going to ask straight away. So Alisha, before we start talking about Canada and Ryerson and all of that, do you want to just talk a bit about, I know you've said a little bit about what you do, but how did you end up in that role originally?
Oh goodness, great question. And it wasn't a streamlined process, I'll say that. I graduated many years ago, but I studied life sciences with a minor in psychology, and understanding when you're a teenager at that time, or now even, how are you supposed to decide on what you're going to do for the next years of your life? I knew I had an interest in sciences, but I also enjoyed the arts, and that's why I pursued a minor. But through my time within university, what I really enjoyed the fact is that you're not really necessarily just studying one area. It's interdisciplinary. But as a result, I did go into working in sort of the health sciences, working with autistic children. So slightly relevant to my field of degree. But then, through my university experience, I also did part-time jobs, and with that, talking to my colleagues, themselves, going through the university process, or their families or children, they're inquiring, how do I do certain things? Like, what kind of programs are there? And never did I know this could have been a career in itself. So I actually got into the university through a colleague of mine saying, there is an opening at Ryerson. And I worked in various departments, so from authentication to client services, but really found my place in recruitment, which I've spent for the past almost decade now. So you could say that it's been quite an experience, but I do love it, especially with the international piece, the ability to travel around the world and to meet new people and just experience new cultures. And have them come and experience what life is like in Canada, and to bring that back home. It's been truly rewarding.
That's great. Yes, and how sad it is that we can't go away and experience those other cultures so easily at the moment. But at least you can still bring people over to Canada, which is good. Maybe we'll talk all a bit about that towards the end. But you mentioned a bit about pursuing a minor. So can you, for the benefit of international students who might not be familiar with the Canadian system, do you want to explain how it works? Because people might be familiar with the US system and how you study liberal arts and can study a broad range of things before deciding your major. How does it work in Canada?
For sure. Well, there's many differences, I would say, compared to our neighboring counterparts. But first and foremost, Canada is it's a large country. We're close to around 37 million people that live, work, and play here. But with that said, in comparison to the US, we do have about 96 plus universities within Canada, and also colleges and private colleges. So that's one big distinction in comparison to the 40,000 plus in the US. We really are proud of the fact that no matter where you go or choose to study, you'll find consistency in the quality of education. In terms of programming, I mean, every institution is different. At Ryerson, we are proud to be a comprehensive university, so students can study either liberal arts or sciences or engineering. What I found, especially when recruiting in the UK, you're not necessarily focused on one area of study. In North America, you can really dabble into different areas. So a minor is an opportunity for students to take on a supplementary area of focus in addition to their major. You could take multiple minors. So for example, if you're interested in business, you could take a minor in philosophy or history. Some institutions offer double degrees. So it all really depends. And the beauty of this is too, again, as mentioned, it's interdisciplinary. So although you may be studying, say, computer sciences, you're still going to be taking classes in critical thinking or marketing. So there's different and very much many opportunities.
So when people apply for university in America, do they normally go in with a subject in mind? Do they apply for that particular program when they go in?
Right. So traditionally, students, yes, they can apply directly to their major of focus, or you could apply to the faculty. If you are, unsure of what area you would like to go into, we do have options called undeclared. Some may call these open options, where in the first year you can, try out a assortment of programs within that specific faculty. So for example, we have an undeclared science, and students can take classes in physics, biomedical science, chemistry, and then after the first year, then pursue what specialty they would like to enter into.
Okay, so that's it. So you're applying to the faculty, so you're still limited to particular fields, but it's broader than, say, the UK system, where you would have to apply for a particular area of study from the beginning.
That's correct.
Okay, that sounds quite good.
And
the minor, you have to pick the minor from the same faculty, or can you pick a different faculty for a minor?
So that's the beauty of a minor. It does not, it's not restricted to being your faculty. So it could absolutely be from another area of study. We have students who've taken business and acting. We at Ryerson, we have over 49 different minors. So it really, I think it's a great opportunity because it allows you to explore various different options if you're the type of person that can't really just have one thing focus. I also do want to mention, in terms of differences between the US and Canada, is how we define our universities or our post-secondary education. So in Canada, we do have universities and also colleges. And colleges are traditionally certificate or diploma programs, which consists to 2 to 3 years. And I would say it's akin to vocational schools or community colleges, as they would call in the US, whereas then university would consist of 4 to 5 years of undergraduate study, where you would earn a degree.
Okay, great. I'm going to take this opportunity just to shout out to anyone listening. If you've got any questions for Alisha about Canada, or particularly Canadian universities, and in particular Ryerson, then please feel free to put your questions in the Facebook chat, and we will answer them if appropriate. So tell us a bit about Ryerson. Where is Ryerson, and what makes it so special?
Ryerson is located in the heart of downtown Toronto, and I don't know if you can see behind me here this beautiful landscape. we're really proud of our location because it has become, the economic and social hub of Canada. What I'm really proud is the fact of its diversity. 50% of the population of Toronto come from somewhere else. And I think that's truly reflective of our campus at Ryerson. We have about 146 countries that students are coming from, 80 languages spoken. So the fact that, it really is a place where students call home away from home. We utilize the city like a working and living laboratory itself. You've been to Toronto, I imagine, Jason.
Well, I have, yeah.
So you could say it's dynamic. You can get along by foot, streetcar. We're accessible by the teenager airports. So that really, again, is a reflective of our campus. Students can get from building to building. And what I mean by using the city like our laboratories, students have access to internships or co-ops, literally footsteps to the campus. How the city is designed is it's made up of different districts and communities. So literally, 2 minutes from the campus is the financial district. And that's where our Ted Rogers School of Management, which is the largest business school in English-speaking North America, is situated. We have, some of our classes housed in the movie theaters. All our professors are industry leaders, and they're really bringing that knowledge back to the classroom as well. But what I think Ryerson is really unique for is its focus on innovation and entrepreneurship. Our motto is mind in action. So what that means is all our classes and the way we teach is a combination of both academics but hands-on experience.
Okay, that sounds really good. And I know a lot of students that we speak to are looking for not just business degrees, but also something focused on entrepreneurship. So that's good to know. And what about applying for Ryerson? What do you look for in a student, and how do you make that decision?
Good question. So I would say as overall, we do place priority on academics. And I speak in terms of Canada as well. The physical admission process, we do encourage students to apply through the Ontario University's Application Centre. Ontario, our province, does house the largest number of universities, and therefore we use this kind of mediated portal where students can kind of apply with one application, and then this gets distributed out. Now, with admission decisions, the blanket statement would be it is based on competition, space, and availability. There are programs that will require an interview or a portfolio, such as our media programs or like acting, dance. And, the stronger, the better. But really, it's a holistic review in the sense that we are looking at grades, but there are supplemental forms that students can fill out to identify extracurricular or any extra achievements.
Okay, that's good to know. And we've got a question here related to this, which is if a student needs financial aid to go to Ryerson, if they're an international student, first of all, does Ryerson offer any kind of financial aid or scholarships or anything like that?
Absolutely. We have two distinct scholarships for international students. One is their most prestigious scholarship is our President's Scholarship Award, which is $40,000 spread out across 4 years. There are a limited number of these awards, so to be eligible, we are looking for students who are completing their final year of study. They need to be strong standing, and there will be a essay submission of sorts with the topic provided. In essence, we are looking for qualities in leadership, extracurricular, things of that sort.
Okay.
The second scholarship we have is called the International Student Merit Scholarship, and it is 7 awards of $5,000. It's a one-time award, and similar to the President's Scholarship, we are looking for strong academics and an essay. But every institution does have some sort of a award amount. Full ride scholarships are going to be quite rare, and I will be honest, they would be extremely competitive. When we're looking at funding or what the costs of tuition would look like as an international student, you could look starting from 25,000 upwards to 45,000 plus Canadian dollars.
Okay, so that's the sort of financial aid you have there with scholarships. Is there anything in terms of need-based aid that Ryerson offers?
Yeah, so we do accept FAFSA loans if a student is actually applying from the US. Aside from that, when students are commencing their studies at Ryerson, they have a host of scholarships they can apply for. So the scholarships that I mentioned previously, those are entrance-based. But absolutely, we actually have a portal called Award Spring, which is kind of a one-stop shop where students submit one application and it will identify all the scholarships that they're available for. So this could be needs-based, this could be faculty-based, it could be sponsor-based. There's a host of scholarships. We have thousands to distribute. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's really good to know. So that's just one-stop shop, you said, so a website that people can go to and find out exactly what they're eligible for.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. It's really interesting what you said about essays as well, and extracurriculars. So normally when you're applying to Ryerson or to any other Canadian university, it's mostly just on academics, like in the UK, but then these extra bits which are normally associated with general applications to the US, so looking at what students do outside of school and their ability to get themselves across in an essay, then that becomes really important when they're applying for scholarships. Is that right?
Absolutely. It's an opportunity for them to shine. And it's not to say that we won't look at any submissions with the application if they had not applied for a scholarship. There's also life circumstances where students want to maybe disclose something that might have affected their grades. So everything is taken into consideration, but certainly when it comes to extracurriculars or achievements, that is really emphasized within scholarships.
Okay, great. While we're talking about practical matters like that, what is the sort of application timeline for applying to Ryerson or Canadian universities in general?
Good question. So our typical school year actually starts from September to April, so 8 months. I know it's quite different out in the UK and other areas. So with that being said, we begin accepting applications 1 year in advance. So like I've mentioned through the OUAC, Ryerson is also on the Common App. So these are kind of like what students in the UK would use, like UCAS. So applications technically open up in the fall, so September, October, and upon submission, we will be requiring, predicted grades, anything that you could really enhance your application to make decisions faster and easier. Students generally hear back around the spring or summer months, and then commence in September. How at Ryerson, we work in 2 semesters, so September, December would be first semester, and then from January to April would be the second semester. There's very few programs that we offer in January.
Okay, great. Right, another question here. We've got some less serious questions, but maybe I'll save them for later. But there's a question here from a high school counsellor in the UK who is asking about the type of fit of a student for Ryerson and Canada in general. What would you say makes a typical Ryerson student?
Oh goodness. Hmm. You know, it's a very interesting question because I think fit really defines, it's defined by the student. But what I've traditionally seen from the population at Ryerson is that these are students who are not afraid to push boundaries. They're really creative thinkers. They're change makers. Um, and I think this is also reflective of the programs that we offer at Ryerson. They're quite creative and again, mentioned hands-on. Um, I always encourage students when they're looking at a university or making their decisions to kind of work backwards, create a list of all the things that you want in an institution. You know, I want this kind of program. I want to live in the city or the suburbs. And then once you have that list, then do, sort of a filter out of what schools meet those criteria. Um, I would say we are an urban university, so students are not afraid to again push boundaries and to try new things. Um, Independence is highly favored, but also getting to know your community. We have a very strong community in the heart of Toronto. Our professors, again, they're incredibly engaged. They want to know you on a first name basis. And we encourage everyone that does come to get involved. And it really happens all organically.
Okay. I think it's a really good, it's a good point about students working out what's important to them and then finding the place that fits them best. Am I right in saying that Canadian universities don't have a ranking system? Is that right?
Per se. It depends on who you ask. And I always approach this question very mildly and diplomatically to say that we are strong in various areas, and that's where rankings are so subjective because ranking on. But if we are to use a ranking system, Maclean's is a very strong review for those who want to look at rankings. There's Times Higher Ed. But again, as I will just say that within Canada, again, the quality of education is so consistent and strong. So you are bound to get a great education no matter where you go, and also at cost. I think that's also a big differentiator between us and our counterparts is that you're getting really a strong education for the dollar that you're spending. And especially as an international student, you have the flexibility to be between countries from your home country and Canada, because our degrees are accredited and they are portable. So that's one of the beauties. If we are going to really talk about rankings, though, Ryerson is proud to have an incubator called the Digital Media Zone.
Okay.
And that is noted to be one of the world's top incubators, university-based incubators. We're really proud to have that.
That's great. Well, actually, my point there was that was hopefully that we don't need to talk about rankings. I think with rankings, you always need to take a huge pinch of salt with them, because the way they do these overarching rankings takes into account a lot of factors, many of which might not be important to students looking at them at all. And that's why I think it's a positive thing that in general, Canada doesn't rank universities in the same way as other countries do, because it's quite misleading. So you certainly don't need to try and prove Ryerson's worth in that respect. But I'm very glad to hear that it has this fantastic incubator program. Okay. And in general, if someone, let's say you had a UK student who was asking you, look, I'm thinking about going abroad for university. Why would that person choose Canada over another country, let's say the US or a European country? What is it about Canada that attracts international students?
Good question.
Apart from all the wonderful people there, of course.
I'm sorry?
Apart from all the wonderful people there, of course.
Oh, Oh, and that's, I guess, to preclude. We are some of the nicest people in the world. We say sorry quite often. I might have dropped that in a couple times, but really, I think why students choose Canada is it is one of the top international destinations to study and work and play. But one, I think it's because of our strong education systems. Again, quality, affordability, portability as well. We have a strong political system as well too. In addition, we also have the postgraduate work study program. So students who finish a higher ed in Canada have the ability to stay and work in Canada upon graduation. So that has been one of the attractive draws to studying in Canada. Interestingly enough, I read a statistic that over 50% of people or Canada is one of the most highly educated countries in the world right now, with over 50% of people having some sort of higher ed education. So there's many reasons, even coast to coast, the beauty of our country, it really does feel like you're entering into a whole new world through like province to province. Our weather, I mean, you have the sunshine and you have the snow. And, yeah.
You certainly get a lot of snow in the right places. That's my number one reason for liking it. Yeah, I think all those things you said are really important. And I think sometimes students think about just one or two countries when they're looking abroad, and forget that there are other really good reasons for looking at global universities, not least a strong culture surrounding the country rather than just what the university is like. On that note, I'd love to talk a little bit about the First Nations side of Canada, because when I was over there last and visited Western University in the other London, just outside of Ontario, I was really impressed with the way they involved the Indigenous people living traditionally on that land. Is that something that's repeated across universities in Canada?
Absolutely. I do believe that there has been, a very strong focus on equity and diversity and inclusion, not only with Indigenous peoples, but as a whole. And especially if we're looking through a lens of the Indigenous peoples, I believe every university, college, institution is incorporating some sort of reconciliation with that. So I know at Ryerson we do have actually sort of a institute, or what we call the Yellowknife Institute, where Indigenous peoples can bring forth, ideas, and it's almost like an incubator sort. We incorporate our elders into our either as instructors, or we've also introduced new programming courses into the curriculum. So I think there is a strong need and strong shift into really enhancing this area, because recognizing, the history of Canada and who really brought up the land, we are doing all efforts to make that possible.
Great. Okay, we've got a really different question here from someone. Hopefully we'll understand what it means. Do you think that the Raptors will be able to go back to back in the playoffs? Does that make sense to you?
Oh, it absolutely does. I know you're a cricket fan, Jason, but now we're talking basketball. So.
Yeah, I'm missing the cricket to do this, by the way.
That is, I don't want to get controversial here, but let's just say that, we took home the ring last year. COVID can be an excuse if we do not bring it. But you know what? I think Raptors have really made its way in the world stage. So we got Mike Lowry still. I know Kawhi left, but he might come back. Who knows? But yes, we could talk offline about that. Whoever submitted that question, but I think Raptors are here to stay.
Okay, good. I'm glad. I think. Okay, and I've got a question as well, which is: are there any notable alumni who went to Ryerson?
Oh, absolutely. Well, let's first start with Isidore Sharp. Isidore Sharp is a graduate from our architectural science program. And he, if you don't know by name, is actually the founder and CEO of the Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts. So sure if you heard of the hotel chain, but we're really excited and proud to have him as part of our family. Maybe for the younger audience here, Nina Droboth, who is an actress, and Shay Mitchell. They're both actresses that completed our acting program, and you might have recognized them from the TV shows Vampire Diaries or Pretty Little Liars. I actually just recently graduated from a certificate program, a psychology certificate, and I had a virtual graduation last month, and Eric McCormick was our honorary speaker. So he is also an actor and completing our acting program, and also a graduate. So it was really interesting and fun to have him. And for those who don't know him, he played Will in the sitcom Will and Grace. So that was really fun. In addition, I know I'm mentioning so many actors, but Mina Masood, I'm not sure if you watched the latest rendition of Aladdin with the live up. He played Aladdin, and alongside Will Smith.
Nice. Yeah, I did have a quick look to see if there were many that I recognised.
Did you?
There was also Tony Parsons, the broadcaster, I think.
Yeah, journalist. Edward Pertinsky, who's a famous Canadian photographer. Yeah, you are so welcome to come join Ryerson, Jason, and earn another degree, and we could add you to that Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I don't think I get invited to do the graduation speeches though, but thanks. Okay, let's move topics slightly, unless there's anything else about Ryerson that I've missed or that you wanted to talk about.
I would just say that, again, what makes Ryerson unique is the variety of programs. We do have kind of one-of-a-kind programs like graphic communications management. We're one of very few schools that have aerospace engineering. I did talk about our digital media zone very lightly, but it is actually quite unique to the university because we have other different zones. So think of them as mini incubators that students could get involved in with startup ideas or product ideation. And this is a collaborative way for students to engage with other different units to supplement their studies. So this is something aside from their undergraduate degree. But certainly I could go on about Ryerson, but definitely we could stay in touch, and I'll share that information afterwards.
Great. Okay. And I guess finally on that note, if someone wants to apply for Ryerson, how do they do it?
Yeah, so applications will open up again in the fall, and it's an online application through the Ontario University's Application Centre, so www.ouac.on.ca, and we're also on the Common app. So it is an online application starting in the fall.
Great, thank you. Okay, so the other thing we were going to talk about is something that I would admit I know much less about, and I'm very keen to learn about it, which is IC3. Something that I see on your social media you're going off to India and getting involved in those sorts of things. And I'd love to know more about it. Can you just, for the benefit of me and for everyone else watching, can you talk a bit about what IC3 is and what you do for them?
Absolutely. So in essence, IC3, it is a movement, but in short, it stands for the International Career and College Counseling. So IC3. So what the movement aims to do is it's really to empower every school to run a robust and fully functioning career and college counseling department. Understanding, we're at the luxury in North America to have dedicated counselors to advise students and to run programming, but in other parts of the world, teachers are kind of double tasking by playing teacher and then also advising. I even found that in the UK, this is also very rare to have a dedicated counseling office. So what the IC3 does, it's to share best practices, to engage new and senior counselors on how to really advise students and also parents and stakeholders. So what I do, so the goal essentially is to really impact over 100,000 high schools over a 15-year period through this movement to enable students to make, best fit choices in their career decisions. And with the IC3, I mean, there's three, areas. So there's the annual conference, bringing higher educational stakeholders together. There's the regional forums where host schools can have sort of these mini conferences and maybe provide information about their region, curriculum, things like that. And then there is the institutes. So these are actually kind of like workshops or courses dedicated for high school counselors to earn actually a certificate of some sort to distinguish themselves as a kind of certified college admission counselor or university admissions counselor. And really the movement it consists of many different committees. So I am part of the social media and outreach committee, and this is really to again bring about awareness to my colleagues and to students. But it's an opportunity where it's information sharing. We really just want to ensure that everyone has the supports and infrastructure in place to really get counseling in every school.
Okay, that's really interesting. And is it something that you're looking to promote worldwide, or is it just in particular regions?
No, this is a worldwide initiative. However, there are committees that are focused regionally. So we do have a new Africa committee. We have a committee focused on sustainability. So there's different areas, and we are completely open to new ideas and really kind of narrowing into different regions. But the idea or the initiative is that it's not inclusive to one area. It is a worldwide vision. In itself, we have the movement has over 200 members from all across the globe. The outreach committee has 11 different countries represented. So, and mind you, the movement did kind of come out of India. So although there is a large focus in South Asia, it really is not inclusive too.
Okay, interesting. So if a school or a potential counsellor wanted to get involved in this movement, how can they go about doing that?
Yeah, I would say the best way is to connect with the IC3 movement. So I believe the email address is IC3Movement.com, but let me verify that with you. Otherwise, you can get in touch with me and I could direct you to the correct contacts. But yeah, we are encouraging all sorts of involvement, and there's no fee to this. This is really this is really a way for us to all connect, you know.
Great. And because you're dealing with the social media side, are there social media channels that disseminate information that people can look at as well?
For sure. You could follow the IC3 movement on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We do have thoughtful Thursdays, where there's webinars that we have based on various different topics, from best practices to how universities or colleges are dealing with the COVID situation, and more. So any platform that you could think of, we're most likely on that.
Okay, great. All right, is there anything else about IC3 that I haven't asked about, or that you feel is important to say?
I think we covered most of it. I mean, in addition to these initiatives, we do have virtual events that are coming up. So definitely, if you are a student looking to explore options, there is a virtual event happening on August the 26th that you could register for. It is a free event for students and counselors, so tune into that. But otherwise, just keep a pulse on what we're doing actively online, and go from there. Right.
Okay, we will make sure to share the link on our Facebook page and Twitter and stuff for that as well. So if there's any students interested in that, look out for that, and you can join that and get some more information. That brings me neatly on to the elephant in the room, which is the fact that we are doing this virtually, and this virtual event you've talked about will of course be online. And at the moment, everyone is doing everything virtually. How is that affecting things at Ryerson? What are your plans for the fall in that regard?
Right. So, first and foremost, the university, the best interest is to ensure that the safety and security of our community. So we are abiding by what the health officials and ministries are saying before moving forward with anything. But what is official to say is that the majority of classes, we are going to be working in a remote space. So classes will be held online, with the exception of maybe a few classes that are deemed essential that will be provided access onto campus. But as an international student, you are not required to be in Canada. You could, commence your studies from home. But all the while, as we are looking at a safe return back to campus, face masks will be enforced. Infrastructure might be different. Whether it is lesser classroom spaces, it's still to be determined. But it's needless to say that with chaos comes opportunity, and it really allows us, from a recruitment lens, to explore different countries and areas that we were never able to reach before. And the beauty of this, if you want to look at a positive end, it's not unique to Ryerson. It's the world going through these motions. So it's how we are going to approach it to make it accessible and engaging. We're going to do that. But right now, we have facilitated a platform called RU for You, and it's Ryerson Get Ready. So it's an opportunity where students can, take or tune into mock lectures and do orientation and get supports. So we are going to be with the student every way of the process.
Okay, great. And presumably there's not going to be any restrictions on international students going to Canada, even if everything is online.
Good question. So I'm not a licensed immigration officer, so there is limitations to what I can really say. But my best advice is to follow the government website, the Canadian Immigration Citizenship website, to monitor what is and isn't allowed. I will encourage that students still, apply for their study visa, study permit all the while, because when borders do open up and it is safe to come to the country, you do want to ensure that those documents are completed and making for an easy transition in. But right now, what we really do encourage is, we are in this remote space. We're going to do the best we can to accommodate and just really monitor everything for now.
Okay, great. Alisha, we've talked a lot and covered a lot. Is there anything else that I should have asked you, or?
I think this actually went really fast. So I hope I didn't bore anyone out there. But I think this has been a wonderful experience.
Great.
Canada's great. I mean, we're home of the maple syrup. I'm trying to think of Canadian isms that I don't know if I said a quite often, but it's great.
Not enough.
Not enough.
Yes, maple syrup and polar bears. You mentioned polar bears enough?
Okay, I have not. I'm sorry, my mind flipped because I thought you meant as something to eat, because we do have a dessert called beaver tails. So whenever I have a guest coming to Canada, I'm like, oh, do you want to eat some beaver tails? And their eyes are like, what? Like, no. It's almost like a flattened beignet with toppings.
I haven't had one, but if we are going to talk about food, then we can't talk about Canada and not mention Timbits.
Right.
If anyone doesn't know, are the holes that come out of donuts.
That's correct.
That's allegedly what they are.
They're fun and bite-sized, and you can't feel guilty having a couple.
Unfortunately, they come in boxes of like 30, so you have to feel a bit guilty.
And poutine. Poutine is.
Yeah.
Have you had?
I have had poutine, and you can get it in London. So.
What? Okay, we're not.
You can't get Timbits here though yet, unfortunately.
Okay.
So still have to come to Canada for that, and the beaver tails. Okay, Alisha, let's end it there. And just before we end though, if anyone wants to get in touch with you and ask you more questions, what's the easiest way for them to do that?
Great question. So absolutely, if you would love to continue the conversation onwards, forwards. So I would say visit the website, Ryerson.ca, and we do have a unit called the Service Hub, which is really a one-stop shop for perspectives to ask about enrollment, why Ryerson, curriculum. But overall, really, you could get in touch with me, international@ryerson.ca if you are an international student. And then directly to myself, it is alisha.koumphol@ryerson.ca. That is alisha.koumphol@ryerson.ca, and we can definitely connect further.
Excellent. Well, Alisha, thank you again, and thank you to everyone listening. And if you have any questions, just put them in the chat, and we'll still pick them up afterwards. And we now have Alisha's contact details. So all that remains for me to say is, Alisha, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and hope to catch up with you again soon.
Thank you, Jason. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for sharing your platform with me. So, thanks everyone, and merci, and au revoir.